Rumors spreading round United Texas town. About to shack outside the game. You know what I'm talking about. Just let me know if you wanna go to that home out on the range. They got a lot of nice girls. I'm racing.
Hey everybody, it is Logan Hall. I'm back for another grill stream. And everybody, it is Logan Hall. Sorry guys. I am trying to use my new intro video sort of at the start of the streams, but it's actually a little bit tough to sort of line up, at the exact right time. StreamYard does have the capability to do like an intro video, sort of, as the brand, but you got to pay for that, and I'm not about these insane StreamYard prices. I know that OC and even Curly was talking about this too, but I think we're going to be looking for a new and different streaming platform that will, give us a lot more freedom and not be tied down to some really, really expensive sort of cost here. So let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so I've got me here, and what we'll do is I'll turn myself around, settings, camera. Let's do back. All right. So what we have going on today is we are doing red beans and rice. So this is a classic Cajun dish, and it's kind of lumped in with things like gumbo, like and things like that too. But essentially, what we've got going on is some dried red beans that were soaked in water overnight. Also got several spices. We've got the rice going here. This has been pre-soaked, pre-rinsed. You should always rinse your rice. Try to get off sort of all the starch, right? Well, at least most of the starch. You're never going to get it all truly off. But once the water is somewhat clear, that's when you know you've cleaned your rice enough. We also have sort of the holy trinity of sort of Cajun cooking. We have celery. We've got an onion that is not pictured. I need to go inside and get that. But we also have some green bell peppers and a few jalapenos just for a little bit of heat. And then we have some parsley there just to kind of finish things up here. But essentially, what we need to do first is we need to get the grill going. So I've actually still got it on this like the Joe's History setup from the turkey that we did last week, and that turned out really, really good. And I ended up using a lot of it for like a sandwiches throughout the week for like my lunches. I made like a turkey and lettuce and uh, you know, sort of, it was like a turkey, lettuce, and a tomato sandwich. But anyway, I'm going to set you guys right here for a moment. And what we need to do first is we need to get this in a configuration that is suitable for sort of, stews, baking something sort of in this Dutch oven pot here. So this is a 5-quart Lodge Dutch oven. It's a good size for this grill, and it's also great for, you know, doing these kinds of cooks sort of on this type of grill. So what I'll do first, I'm gonna put my gloves on. I mean, concern not because it's hot, but again, just because it's kind of, icky, and like there's, stuff all over here. So why not use a glove to kind of touch the parts that are, I guess, not as, nice to handle, with your bare hands. So I'm gonna put this off to the side. We'll use our great picker upper. And I'm gonna just set these off to the side for the time being. Now, if this is showing up on camera here, there's a few things in here that were sort of left over from when the turkey failed the first time. A lot of these, like the aromatics, ended up falling out, unfortunately, and I had to fix that. But we certainly won't need that this time. And I'm going to clean this out real quick, and I'll probably do like it's like a quick sort of a time lapse here when I do the condensed version of this stream. In case you guys haven't been watching, I'm starting to do condensed versions of all of my grill streams here, and I'm debuting them every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central, 7 Eastern. If you enjoy, my sort of grill stream, so maybe you don't catch it at the right time, or you've got something else going on, or you just rather not watch me chop a cilantro for 7 hours, you can wait until I do the sort of the summary version of it. So again, those come out every Tuesday and Thursday. It will take a little while for us to get caught up to sort of current day. So the streams that I'm putting out right now, or like the summaries that I'm putting out right now, are all sort of back from my very first grill streams. So I think by like January, again, doing sort of 2 per week, I think we'll get to, sort of all sort of caught up around sort of January, February, probably. I do have a kind of like a special stream coming up soon for my birthday. I won't really say sort of what my birthday is, but it's in December, and I'm going to be doing something special for that stream. I think I've already made sort of just like a placeholder for it, but I'm basically doing a giant tomahawk ribeye. So that's going to be a lot of fun and very, very delicious. First thing we need to do is we need to get some charcoal in here. So I'm going to go grab that real quick. For our needs this weekend. What I'll do now is I'll get a little fire starter. And typically when you use a fire starter, you kind of want to like nestle it down to where it's in between sort of like the bottom layer of charcoal, but you also want a little bit of charcoal on top because naturally the fire is going upward, right? So you want it to catch some charcoal that is directly above it too. So what we'll do, and put my glove back on, I don't want charcoal hands. I'm just going to nestle that here, and then I'm just going to layer on top a bit of charcoal so that that gets caught there. And what I don't have with me is the actual fire, sort of like the butane. So let me go inside real quick and grab that real quick, and I will be right back. Let me make sure you guys have a good view here. All right. So that's going to get cooking here. It'll take probably 15, maybe even 20 minutes to really get that sort of into a roaring fire. We're going to open up this top lid a little bit. Actually, let's just open it up all the way. Again, when you're starting a fire, you want a lot of oxygen to be flowing through, because with oxygen you create fire, and without it you put out the fire. So what I'm going to do now is, let me just kind of tidy up here just a little bit. We don't need these plates here. I'm going to put those down for a moment. And we don't need all this stuff that fell out of the turkey last time. I'm going to toss this real quick. It's a few more pieces here. Okay. So we've got some smoke going there. This will, again, take maybe 15 to 20 minutes to heat up, but that gives us time to go ahead and chop up our veggies here. So what I'll do is, actually, let me put this plate over here, and let's make ourselves the proper chopping station here. I've got veggies kind of all over the place. So what we'll do, put these off to the side for the time being. And what I don't have is an instrument to chop the veggies. So I'm going to go get my knife real quick. I'll be right back. I also remembered we need a little bit of butter later on, so I grabbed that too. And before I get started with the chopping here, let's just see if anybody has joined us here. You know what? I'm actually doing the dual phone method here. I've actually got my secondary phone streaming right now, but I can also go to my phone here and see who's here. There's two watching, but no comments yet. For again, for that other person that is watching right now, feel free to drop a comment. Happy to greet you and welcome you to the stream. So what we'll do first, guys, is let me just make sure this is a good angle, and I can look on my phone here for that too. But let's go ahead and do some veggie chopping. So typically the Cajun sort of the holy trinity is going to be onion, green bell pepper, and celery. That's what's used in like a lot of Cajun dishes. And one thing I probably will do, and this is where it's like an outdoor sink would be nice, but I do need to actually clean these off. So I'm going to step back inside real quick just to get these cleaned up a little bit. But I think, three will probably be fine, but I'll just do a fourth one there just for good measure. I will go clean these up real quick, and I can actually do that with the bell pepper too while I'm in there. So I ended up buying two green bell peppers. I don't know if we really need all of them, but I'm gonna go wash these up real quick and just give me 30 seconds. Our veggies are cleaned up. Let's set these green bell peppers and the onion off to the side. We'll do that in a moment, but let's go ahead and do these first. One thing I'd like to do real quick is just drop the stream link into the WhatsApp groups, in case anybody wants to join us here. I normally do that before I start the stream, but I forgot today. So got it. All right. So now we can get the chopping here. And again, OC, there's no guarantee here that it'll take less than an hour or whatever. So you should have planned accordingly. But let's go ahead and chop here. There's kind of like a nasty mark at the end of that one. So again, so I'm kind of planning for this is sort of like between a small and medium dice that I'm shooting for. So I'm going to cut this piece into kind of strips, and then from there, we'll chop like so. So this is kind of the size that I'm targeting here. We'll do the same here. Again, just kind of small strips. And then this type of motion here. So again, kind of small to medium-sized strips. Line them up. And then it's kind of like a rocking motion here. When you here, let me kind of break down sort of my sort of chopping approach. There's several different ways that you can chop. There's there's like sort of all the French sort of chopping terms, right? But again, I like to hold my knife kind of like where the blade actually starts, and not necessarily like this. You really don't have much control sort of doing it sort of this way, just kind of actually holding the handle. You need to kind of treat the knife sort of as an extension of your own arm, right? So again, I like to kind of keep it sort of here. I kind of pinch it, right? And then sort of with my other three fingers, I'll just kind of wrap around. And again, that is how I hold a knife, and I think you should too. I'm not saying that's like the most proper way, but at least that's what works for me, and that's what gives me the most control. So again, then I typically like to just do sort of like a claw motion here on this hand, and then just kind of rock the knife back and forth. The bottom of the knife never really leaves the cutting board. Again, it's just sort of like a rocking motion like that. And again, you can sort of do sort of like it's like sort of that type of motion where the knife does actually come off the board. Again, like there's never really like a right or wrong way to do this. But we probably have enough celery at this point, but there's just a little bit more here that I have, so why not go ahead and use it? So let's go ahead and again chop our kind of batons here. Line them up, and again do that. That's sort of a rocking motion with your knife. All right, so we've got our celery taken care of. Again, these are sort of small to medium like dice in terms of size. Let's put that spoon off to the side real quick, just to make a little bit more room. What we'll do now is, let's do the onion next. So typically when I'm chopping an onion, I will chop off one side first. Just again, so that way I do have like a flat sort of surface here where I can then chop it in half. You do want to leave one of the ends on, again, to like the root end, so that it doesn't kind of sort of spay out sort of when you actually start to cut it, right? So this is kind of what kind of holds everything together. So again, I'll just kind of make a midway chop there. Let's put that off to the side. I don't know how much onion we're going to use yet. Like it might be the whole thing, or it might just be half. So what I like to do is I like to tear off the kind of the first layer, or actually I think I got the first two layers here. So that's fine. But again, once you get a sort of smooth onion, then you know that you've kind of gone far enough. And again, sort of like the claw motion here, I'm going to make cuts every sort of quarter inch. Again, I'm not going sort of all the way to the root here. I'm going like almost, again, just right about there. But again, we're going to do sort of that type of motion. And now we'll go back to the claw. And again, like, so this chop is actually going off of the cutting board. So that's fine. And then I usually discard sort of like the very, very tip of it, sort of like the end, and it's fine to go over it sort of one more time, just for that sort of rough chop. And I think we will need the full onion today. So again, just find sort of like that first layer. And get that out. And again, so here's the root end. That's what's going to kind of hold everything together. And then I just make a cut most of the way down, about 1/4 inch between each cut, basically. Now I do between 1 to 3 kind of chops upward here. Again, sort of using that same sort of 1/4 of an inch interval. So again, we'll do that kind of chopping motion. Again, roughly 1/4 of an inch. And I think that's going to be plenty of onion here for this dish. I'm just going to go over it with another just quick sort of rough chop so that there's no giant pieces that, got in there. OC, if you're watching, we are in hour 3 of cutting. So check back in 2 more hours. We'll be done with cutting. Now what we'll do is we'll do the green bell pepper. So again, I like to cut it off sort of like the sides like this. There's several different ways you can do a bell pepper. I've seen people like push down sort of like the very top, and then they just take sort of like the heart out or whatever, and then they chop it that way. I've also seen people do something like this. Let me see if I can do what they do here. Give me 1 second. For the second one here, let me take the sticker off first. That will not taste good. Did I leave the sticker on this one too? Oh yeah, look. That will not taste very good at all. But again, another way to do a bell pepper is, again, in this way kind of does require a little bit more skill, but you kind of just rotate the whole way around so that it's all one long strip like that. That's another way. But again, you don't have to necessarily go by any one particular method. Cooking and food should be sort of what you make of it. There's not a right or wrong way to sort of do anything. You just kind of do it your own way. It's a lot like art. Uh, when an artist goes out and sort of he or she sort of paints a picture, you're not necessarily going by some guide or whatever, right? They are just kind of doing what speaks to them. Same thing with sort of like food plating too. There's not necessarily like a right or wrong way to plate a dish. You just kind of do what sort of speaks to you, I guess. So I'm cutting these in roughly kind of like a fourth of an inch strip. For these pieces here that have a lot of sort of like the inner part here, you can cut that sort of inner part out. Sort of like the inner flesh, I guess you would say. Kind of same thing here. We'll cut out that sort of inner part. And last but not least, well, I kind of messed that one up, but that's all right. Yeah, so now we have the strips there. And you can take, 3, 4, 5 of these at a time and do that type of motion. We'll get another 3 or 4. And something else too, you don't necessarily have to try to win any races like with chopping here. Just sort of chop at the rate that you feel comfortable. When you get sort of more experienced and you feel comfortable with a bit more speed, then you can certainly speed it up, but you don't necessarily have to ever speed it up. I think really the only reason that you might want to speed it up is if you're working in a professional kitchen, where you are, against the clock, basically. You have hungry customers and you need to get food out quickly. So, but if you are a home chef, there's really no reason that you need to go fast. You can just go at your own rate that makes you comfortable. I think we are pretty good in terms of quantity of sort of veggies here. Let's just take a quick look here at the spread. I think that's going to be plenty. We may not even use sort of all of this, but I think that's a good amount here. I want to check my phone real quick and see if we have anybody in the chat. Let's go back. Hey, Johnny O is here. Made it just in time for the chopping. Hey, Johnny O. You're only in the first hour of chopping, man. There's going to be at least 3 more hours of chopping. Nice knife skills rotating that blade. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Dodger. Dodger, I appreciate your support as always. Thank you for being here. So for those of you just joining us, we're doing red beans and rice today. Again, a classic sort of Cajun dish. Lots of spices go into it, and we just did the first sort of piece where we got sort of all the like the veggies chopped up, so like the Holy Trinity. One thing that I just realized we do need to get in there as well is I did get a few jalapenos, so that'll add a little bit more heat to this. Again, the Cajuns are always about sort of heat and spiciness, so to be true to them, I will go ahead and cut one of these down the middle. Now you should be using like a glove here, but I don't have one with me at the moment. So we're just going to take out like that inner sort of rib with all the seeds or with the capsicum. The capsicum is what makes the pepper hot. It's not the outer flesh or anything like that. It's the actual seed And the seed contains the capsicum that actually makes it hot. So again, very similar to what we did earlier. We're going to do that kind of chopping motion here, and we're just kind of blend this in with the green bell pepper. And I guess I'll do 2 here. Again, we're just going to hold that, chop it down the middle. We're going to get rid of the sort of the inner rib and the seeds. You know, and again, if you leave a few seeds in, it's not going to kill you. So don't worry about trying to really get all of that out. Now, if you are ever working with like a really high caliber pepper, like a ghost pepper or something, then you do want to get all the seeds out because you don't want to die, right? But anyway, so we have all the veggies done now. What I'll do now is we actually need to dice, or not dice up, but at least just chop up the andouille sausage. Shout out to andouille if you're watching. This is your sausage here, and it says Cajun style. This is typically the sausage that is used in this type of dish, and sort of in the sort of Louisiana area. I almost lost my wiener, guys. That would have been tragic if I lost my wiener. So what we'll do is I'm actually going to kind of split this down the middle because we're actually going to get some grill marks on these first. That's actually going to be the first thing we do. So I will chop my wiener down the middle, which sounds very painful, but thankfully we are all done. So what we need to do now is we need to configure the configure the grill where we have a bit of space to actually put our wieners on. Again, very painful, but it's going to be a quick process. So yeah, so our coals are nice and toasty now. I'm not sure if that's coming across on camera. There you go. If I've learned anything from previous streams, is to not leave or leave the camera out for too long. That is going to force my camera to shut down. But thankfully, the weather is actually getting much cooler here in Nashville. It's I think high 40s, low 50s today. I don't know what that is in Celsius, Dodger. Sorry, but I'm sure you can do a quick. You know what, the iPhone actually has these sort of, or like built into the calculator. You can actually do like Celsius, like different sort of unit conversions. I think I'm going to actually put this at the bottom right, just so that we get a little bit more contact with the fire. Again, we're going for it's like a sear here. We're not necessarily looking to cook the sausage here. We are just trying to get some grill marks, just like a char, and that'll give us a little bit more flavor. Let's clean these off a little bit here. And I really should wait until these are hot, but I'm getting most of it off now. I think that'll be fine for our purposes. What I will do though is I will sort of close this back up. The temperature drops for while we had it open, so I'm going to give this another maybe 5 minutes here, and then once those grates are nice and hot, we'll get to searing. So what else can I show you guys? I do need to find. Oh, it's right there. There's a certain sort of attachment here that we'll be using to uh hold the pot in place. But again, we'll put that on after we sear the sausage. Let's see who else we've got in the chat here. Dodger, always enjoy your company, Logan. Hey, thank you, man. That is a very nice thing to say. And Ryan Singer upvoted. Hey, thank you very much, man. Ryan will always be there for me. We had a really good time in New York City, and really good conversation at the steakhouse, and just again, a really nice guy. So Ryan, thank you for always being there. Um, Again, it's a bit chilly here in Nashville today, so I decided to put on my jacket here. I actually just bought this jacket. I got it from H&M. A shout out to Lolex there if he's watching. Um, Lolex loves to shop there. So if you guys are shopping for Lolex for Christmas, just buy anything from H&M, size small. Okay, we saw what happened to him with the suit. It was just way too big for him. So clearly he needed a small size. So just keep that in mind when you're shopping for Lolex. Um, but yeah, prior to this, guys, I watched some football. My Tennessee Vols thankfully shut out UTEP. My, I actually don't even know what that's what stands for, but again, a very small sort of school. And the again, the big question right now is, um, will Tennessee make it into the college football playoff sort of bracket, right? So there's 12 spots. This is the first year they're doing this, and I think it's going to make for a lot of excitement and a lot of great games. But previously we were comfortably in the bracket, but we lost to Georgia last week. You know, really, it's like the whole year, Georgia has not really played all that great. I don't think their quarterback is as good as he thinks he is. But when they played us, they decided to wake up and be the old Georgia that everybody knows and either loves or hates. But anyway, so we lost that. So that kind of bumped us out of the bracket. We're now sort of the first team out, meaning that the 12 spots are filled right now, but if we continue to win out, uh, there's a decent chance that we'll get back in. And we also have to rely on sort of everybody that's currently in the bracket to lose basically, or have 3 losses or more basically. Ole Miss played Florida today, and they lost. So Ole, Ole Miss was ranked ninth, I think. So anyway. So let's see what we have here. Um, I think this might be ready to actually put on the grill here. Let me go check the temperature real quick. We're up to 4 now. So again, guys, if you are on and live with me, drop a comment, let me know you're here. And if you could leave a like too, or if you're not subscribed, that would be even better. So um, I think we are at a good point here to go ahead and start to grill up some of the sausage here. And again, we're not looking to fully cook it. We're just looking to get a few, sort of grill marks on it, and sort of those sort of sear marks will add a bit more flavor. So I'll take you guys back over here, get you in a good spot. Let's put the glove on. And marry the wieners to the grapes. Got a nice little sizzle there. So we got those on there. I'm gonna close it just to keep the temperature up. And we'll give that a few minutes here. We're up to 5 viewers now, guys. Thank you for your support, as always. So guys, tell me, what did you guys do for your Saturday here? What time is it in your part of the world? Let me know what you're up to, because I like to stay in touch with you guys. And you know, if you know, especially if you're cooking, if you're cooking something, tell me, let me know, send me pictures. You can reach out to me on Logan Hall's Grill Streams, over on Instagram. Feel free to send me what you're cooking up, because I would love to take a look at it. I can see what you guys are cooking, and maybe provide a bit of feedback if you want it. Dodgers says it's 11:20 in Poland. Yeah, so you guys are 6 hours ahead of me. It's 4:20 here in Central Time, America. Now if the old Instagram is a little bit too advanced for you, you can always reach out to me at Logan Hall's Grill Streams on sort of at gmail.com. Again, it's just the title of the show, no spaces, at gmail.com. Feel free to write to me there and send your pictures there as well. I think that would be a fun thing to do. Just kind of look at what you guys are cooking up, sort of in between sort of these sort of cooking times, right? Because sometimes there's really nothing else to talk about while we sort of wait for something to cook. So having something to sort of look at or sort of talk about, that would be sort of a nice sort of added thing here. We've dropped 2 viewers, guys. Oh no, they could not take all the chopping here. That's okay. We'll give the sausage here just a little bit longer, just to fully develop a little bit more marks. And then what we'll do is we'll actually chop up these into roughly the same size as sort of what we have here in the veggie sort of platter here. But I think I should probably talk a little bit about, sort of like the origins of this sort of dish. I actually don't know necessarily where it started, but I think, like a lot of sort of Cajun food, I think it probably developed out of, it being sort of a cost-effective meal. I think that like a lot of Southern dishes are sort of kind of that way. It's usually made with very few ingredients, and you just kind of use what's sort of in your fridge. Whatever veggies you've got. You could even throw in some sort of carrot in here too, but again, it's not necessarily really all that traditional. But again, you kind of use what's around you, sort of what sort of native to your sort of local surroundings. And again, a lot of the sort of Cajun food is kind of derived from sort of like a mixture of French and sort of Spanish cooking. So again, I guess like the celery kind of comes from the French, and sort of more like the onion. Well, the onion kind of comes from the French too, but the onion is shared sort of globally, sort of universally. But again, the pepper is more of a Spanish thing. So a nice little fusion there. I think we're at a good point now where we can go and check our sausage. and see how they're looking here. So let's change views here. Yeah, so these are, yeah, so that's getting properly seared there. We'll take that off. Probably waited just a little too long, but again, we got some nice sort of grill marks there. So what I'll do, I'm gonna close this up, maintain the heat in there. And what we'll do is we'll go back over here. We'll chop up our sausage. And we'll kind of do this in such a way that it kind of matches the size of sort of everything else here. Again, when you're cooking, think about the end user, sort of how would they want this to be in their mouth. Again, that sounds bad, but again, you don't want to have some giant piece of sausage here that's going to take up a sort of entire sort of mouthful here. Um, so I'm just gonna slice that down the middle, and you know what? I think I might wait just a little bit for these to cool off just a bit, um, and then we'll kind of chop that up here. But that does give us time to reconfigure the grates in here for the next part. So what we'll do is let me get a circular grill pattern here. So this is what we'll use to kind of put in the middle here. What we need to do first is take out the existing grills, or sorry, grates, not grills. I don't got grills inside my grills. Let's go ahead and remove these guys. I think this is also a good opportunity to put a little bit more charcoal in. All right. What we'll do now is let's get the glove back on. There's a few different options here. You can have this like really close to the fire, or you can have it further up. I think probably further up is actually going to be better in this case. I think that'll clear all right. So again, so the idea is we'll put the duct oven in the middle, and I think having it higher up will kind of give us a better chance of things like not boiling too quickly or kind of overflowing and whatnot. So let's close this up. And here soon we need to start configuring our sort of vents here, because we want to dial in a temperature that is kind of close to sort of what you might expect on sort of like a stove top, right? So maybe like that 300 to 350 range. I'm gonna wait until this temp gauge gets probably closer to about 325. I know my gauge is about 20 degrees off. Um, so again, when it's really 350, the gauge will actually read probably like closer to like 370. So that's something I need to fix kind of like before I kind of wrap things up for the winter. Oh, that's something else I can talk about actually. So that's wild. Uh, I just felt something go into my hair, and I think that was a little bit piece of charcoal popping out of this vent and going into my hair. So hopefully my hair's not on fire. But um, anyway, that was interesting. To put you guys over here. So while I chop this sausage up, um, probably over the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing more indoor cooking. As it gets colder here, um, I think there's a few dishes that just sort of make more sense for the indoors. Um, couple things I'm thinking about is like a braised beef short rib, sort of either with mashed potatoes or even sort of like in sort of a ragu, um, you know. And I think I will have a special guest for that one, Wizard. Um, he definitely has the best ragu recipe. So Wizard, if you're out there, man, hit me up over Instagram and maybe we can do a collab. So again, we're gonna kind of just cube these up, just a rough dice. I'm gonna separate this out just a little bit. Do the same thing with this one. So I think that's kind of evenly proportioned there. We have kind of equal amounts of celery, onion, bell pepper, jalapeno, and the sausage, as well as our dried red beans. So that'll play a critical part in this as well. So I'm looking at my temperature gauge now, and we are well into the 600s here. So what we need to do, let's close this off. I'm gonna have just barely that open there. We're also going to keep this kind of almost close here. You never want to fully close this while you're cooking because that's going to kind of kill sort of any fire that you have going. So always leave it open just a little bit when you want to control temps here. But again, the temperature is already starting to go down here. So I'm going to open this up, and that's going to allow sort of a lot of the hot air to get out. And again, we want this closer to, roughly like that 300 to 350 range. Um, and what I'll probably do here also is I'll go ahead and put the Dutch oven in. So that's starting to warm up. So I'm going to keep that open just a little bit more. I think we're now sitting at about 400. Let's check on the comments. Wizard does a great tinned ragu. Timothy vouch for it. Dodger. The question is, do they triple vouch for it? So that's the big question. So what is the temperature now? Okay, so we're back down at about 300 here. I think what I'll do now is I'll keep this closed. This will likely still go back up just a little bit. But what we'll do here is we'll give the Dutch oven just a few minutes to heat up there. And then I'll drop a little bit of butter in, and I will start to drop in our veggies. Typically, when you do anything with celery, or when you have celery involved, yes, it's treated as a veggie, but you want to put that in towards the end of doing the rest of the veggies because it's going to take a little bit longer for the peppers to cook as well as the onion. The celery is like 97 or 98% water, right? So I mean, it's going to take less time for that to cook down. So we'll probably do the onions first, as well as like the bell pepper and not the jalapeno. But while we wait for the Dutch oven to get to a decent temperature, let's cut off a little bit of butter. Guess that's like a tablespoon and a half-ish. And I'm going to go ahead and toss this in. This will kind of tell us how hot our pot is. If this really burns up really quickly, then it's actually going to be a little bit too hot. So I'm going to let this kind of open up and cool back down. I just saw that the temperature is getting closer, like to 400. So if I drop this in now, it would probably sort of, be sort of zapped up pretty quickly, and I would have kind of burnt butter. I don't necessarily want that. So I'm going to keep this open just a little bit longer and kind of let it get back down to like a more manageable temperature. Still got about 3 folks watching here. Guys, if you know anybody that is interested in cooking, send them my way. So let's drop that in. And thankfully this didn't burn up. So that tells me that this is actually at a pretty much sort of perfect temperature. You always kind of have to watch the temperature on these things. Like, again, like the key to mastering this style of grill is knowing how to control the temperature, knowing how to control the grates. Right. I'm gonna actually close that a little bit. I think we're back down to like 250-ish. So let's let that come up to temperature again, and we'll give it like 30 seconds, and then by that time we should be good to go ahead and put the onion and the bell pepper in. But yeah, I mean, the reason, usually I start around like noon Central Time for these grill streams because there's plenty of sunlight. But today my Vols played football at noon today, so I wanted to wait until that was over. But the downside of that is if I wait too long, the sun sets very early here. I mean, it sets around 4 to 4:30. So it's like 4:36 right now, and I've got sort of realistically probably about like an hour left of sunlight. But thankfully, this cook isn't going to take sort of all that long. Like this isn't like a super low and slow type of cook. It will really sort of come together in maybe 30 to 45 minutes of actual time on this grill. So our butter has melted, and we are in a position to put our veggies on. So I'll have to do kind of the multiple trips here. Something I'm going to do, I'm going to open that, just open up like the bottom bit just a little bit more. So that's all of our bell pepper, jalapeno, and onion. Kind of stir this around a bit. I'll close that up. We do need it to be a little bit hotter. So while we do that, or at least while that kind of cooks and sort of sweats down, something else we can go ahead and start making is the rice. So I'm going to turn your attention to. Sorry, guys, my phone fell off the mount there. So hopefully that didn't hurt too bad there. So let's put you guys back on the. Actually, should go this way. Sorry, sometimes this is actually kind of tough to get into the. Hold on, let me get you guys in a good spot here. Sorry, I know I'm giving everybody. There we go. Sorry, I know I gave you guys some slight vertigo there, so sorry about that. But we're back on track now. So again, as I previously mentioned, I've already rinsed the rice here. Again, this is just a short. It's either long grain or short grain white rice. And typically the ratio for white rice is just like a 1 to 2 ratio there. So what I'll do first, let's throw the veggies in just a little bit more. And I'm going to toast this rice up just a little bit. Again, where you can boost flavor and sort of add flavor, I always try to take those sort of opportunities, right? So toasting your rice is one sort of easy thing that you can do to sort of add sort of flavor. I'm also going to add just a little bit of butter to this. I'm sorry, guys. I just realized you can't really see that. It's probably about as good as I can do for now. Well, let's do like a pat or even like a half a pat of butter. That goes in. Let's get that butter to melt. I'll let that sit a moment. Let's quickly go back to the veggies. So I realize that that's really not pointing down to all that much today. And it may just be the angle or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, we definitely need a bit more heat on that real quick. So I'll actually keep that open, and I'll keep the bottom bin fully open too, just to get the temperature back up. Let's go back to the. Let's see that might give you a slightly better angle. Yeah, so now we're starting to heat up here. So once this butter melts, instead of adding fully water here, I'm going to add a bit of flavor to this by adding in some chicken stock. That's a simple way to kind of up your rice game, just adding in something other than water. Where you need to add a liquid, if you have the option to add something that's a little bit more flavorful than water, then why not use that, right? And I might do all water, or maybe like sorry, I might do sort of all stock, or half stock, half water. I'm will probably do like a 50-50 mix, honestly. So I'm gonna pump the brakes on the heat there, and let's go ahead and add in 2 half cups or 1 cup of chicken stock. Now that will sort of deglaze the pan a little bit. Sort of any pieces of rice that was kind of stuck on there. It's now being deglazed thanks to the water. What I'll do, I'm going to bring out just a little bit more water, and we'll add that to the pot here. So give me one moment. So that was 1 cup of water, 1 cup of chicken stock. And to go even further here, it's probably a good time to take off my sunglasses here. We will add in two bay leaves. Again, that's just going to amp up the flavor a little bit more. So let's get this rice up to a boiling temperature. And then I actually need the lid for this too. So let me go grab the lid for this pot. Our veggies are looking better now. Let's add in the celery. And I'm just going to do a dash of chicken stock in here, just to keep anything from burning. So we're at a boil now. Let's put this down to sort of the simmer, and I'm just going to leave the lid sort of partially on, partially off like that. Let's go back to the veggies. Again, sorry guys, I'm trying to get this into sort of like a view here that you can actually see what's going on. I might just kind of do this type of motion here for now. Hopefully that's not going to heat up my phone to the point where it shuts off. But yeah, I cannot angle my phone any more down, unfortunately. I don't know why this is, you know, let me do something real quick. I'm looking for something that I can kind of sort of rest the phone on. so that it's okay. That's a little bit better. So those veggies are just about done here. What we'll do now is we need to season. So let's get a big pinch of salt. A bit of black pepper. A little bit of cayenne pepper. Onion powder. Garlic powder. Margarine. Oregano. Rosemary. Thyme. Last but not least, some paprika. Let's give this a stir and incorporate. And let's let that come back up to temperature for a little bit. All right. Let me find a good spot to put you guys down real quick. One thing I want to do real quick is just make sure that the water is kind of at a simmer here for the rice. So let's stir that around. All right. That's in a good spot. So we're going to give those veggies just a little bit more time. And it's starting to get dark, guys. I'm going to turn on my overhead light here for you. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in the beans as well as the chopped up sausage here. So again, earlier we just put a sort of like a sear on the sausage. And it got sort of partially while we were doing that, but it'll finish cooking in the actual, pot into like the broth and everything like that. So probably give those just another, or just like the veggies here, just like another minute. Let me go get one of the sort of special ingredients that you need for this dish, which is called ham hocks. So I'll be right back. So these are called ham hocks, or also called smoked pork hocks. So this is what they look like. Um, I'm actually not even sure what part of the pig this is from, but we'll probably use two of these today. This pack came with four, but again, I'm just going to use two, and we're going to dump those in after we get all of our liquids in. So let's go back. I'm going to reblade with a little bit more chicken stock. Now let's add in the red bean. And let's go ahead and add the sausage. All right. Let's mix. Actually, let me get my glove on. All right. Let's mix this up. Lots and lots of beans here, guys. Again, the red beans are kind of like the star of the show, so that's why we have sort of so much of them. Again, we're going to mix this up. We're going to let this sit on the grill just for a few minutes, and then we're going to add in the the chicken stock. And we might have to add in a little bit of water too, but we'll do the chicken stock as well as the ham hocks. Again, the ham hocks are going to sort of enrich the flavor a little bit, but then we'll add in a couple of bay leaves as well. So let's let this sit just a moment. And let me talk about these ham hocks a little bit more. Let's see here. Yeah, so I'm actually not even sure what part of the pig this comes from. I've probably done a little bit of research, but again, this is sort of mostly fat. Um, when sort of folks actually make this, sometimes you might actually get one that does have like a decent amount of actual meat in it. Uh, and you can actually, chop up that meat and you can throw it back in the sort of like the pot as well. But like I'm looking around right now and I don't see a lot of meat. It's mostly just fat. Let's take a look at this other one here. I mean, there's a little bit of meat here in the center. Again, we might sort of cut some of that off, like and actually put it into the actual pot as well. But that is going to be sort of after it sort of cooks down. Again, we're mainly going to use these more just for enhancing and sort of enriching the flavor. So let's see here. Let's check on our rice real quick. Again, I didn't really put like a timer on this, but you could just kind of taste it and you kind of see where it's at. And if you think it needs to go longer, it can go longer. But generally for white rice, I go between 12 and 15 minutes. Um, Now, if I had my Zenith on, I would be able to tell where we are in terms of timing. I think we're definitely getting close. I would say probably like 3 to 5 more minutes. Here, let me taste. Yeah, maybe like 3 minutes. I think I will leave it open actually, just to let it sort of aerate, and I can keep my eye. Again, I can keep my eye on it too. But what we'll do now, let's switch back over to the grill. And it might be getting too dark for you guys. I don't know if you can see that. Let me do this here. Yep. All right. So let's get the glove on. Stir this up one more time. And let's add in our broth. So that's 1 carton. Let's do the second one here. Hey, it's Dad. I'm making some red beans and rice. Oh wait. Oh, it was excellent. Excellent. Really juicy. Ready to go. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm heading down to my parents on sort of Wednesday, and I'm prepping the bird like the whole day, and then Thursday morning I'm putting it on the smoker. Yeah. That was my neighbor Stan. Always a friendly guy. So I'm gonna let this get back up to a boiling point. Let's come back to the rice real quick. let me taste this. I think it still needs just a little bit more time to sort of air out, but we can take out the leaves now. So there's one leaf. Let's toss that. There's two. Still just a little bit sticky. So we're gonna let that kind of air out just a little bit more. What we can do now is we can add in the ham hocks and the bay leaves. So let me prop you guys back up. Let's plop them in. And let's really get them down in there. I'll also add just a little bit more salt. Can I get them? Yeah, that's good. And my bay leaves are here. So let's do like 2 or 3. So we're gonna let this come up to a boil. And then once it's at a boil, we will let this kind of simmer. We're gonna let it simmer for about 30 to 45 minutes, I would say. And there's actually going to be a point here where we're actually going to take some of it out and we're going to kind of mash it up. And that's going to make the overall consistency a little bit thicker. Let's see, Dodger. I am off to bed midnight here. Have a great rest of the show. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Dodger. I do appreciate you sticking around here. Looks like I'm down to 2 viewers. But that is perfectly okay with me. Hey, if even one person is watching, then I am more than happy with that. Let's taste it now. And it's definitely getting like the separation. So probably just another few minutes. And at some point, what I'll do is I'll just put the lid back on, but take it off the heat and just kind of let it sit there for a little bit. Yeah, we're doing nighttime grilling with Logan Hall. We're entering new boundaries here, new sort of a frontier. I don't think I've ever done sort of like it's like a night stream like this. So hopefully the lighting is okay, guys. But anyway, I think what I may do actually, while we have a little bit of time here, I will probably start to clean up a little bit. So let's do this. I'll utilize my outdoor trash can. That is one thing that I do have, but I don't have an outdoor sink. So just chill out, guys, relax. If you're drinking something or smoking something, let me know what you're imbibing on. Because what I might do here is I might go get a little cigar and just chat for a little bit. I do know that Diego is going to be doing a stream here in a little bit, so we'll try to wrap up before that's there. I don't know how to forward viewers over, unfortunately. Um, but I may figure out how to do that here in a little bit. So I'm going to put these ham hocks and put the rest of the celery back inside real quick. I think I will keep this bowl out here because we can use this to do sort of like the mashing of the actual beans. So give me 1 second while I go back in. And by the time that I come back out, I think the rice will be ready. All right, guys, I think the rice is good and done. Sorry for the noise. So let's cut the heat on that. We will release it from the fire. Yep, nice and crispy. So what I'll probably do, guys, oh, you know what I need actually? I'm going to get a little fancy and I'm going to form this into sort of a sort of like a cup size, I guess. And we will put it right here. And we will make it a little bit fancy. We're actually going to put it in this bowl right here. Nice and white, nice and clean. So let me go get a bowl real quick just to form this in. I have procured a ramekin. This is what I was looking for earlier. But we're gonna stuff the rice in that, and then we're gonna kind of like plop it down like that. So, oh, let's actually check and see if we're up to a boiling point here. We're not quite at a boil here. What I might do actually is add just a bit more charcoal. We're starting to run out. So let me position you guys. Might be a little bit lopsided. Sorry. Let me get a bit more charcoal here. Let's get the glove. I gotta be careful not to get the charcoal in the actual food itself. It might just be easier if I take this off and then put it back on. I need one more hot glove. I don't know where my other one went, but I'm gonna go get like a towel real quick and just take this off real quick. Smells good. Let's add in a little bit more charcoal here. Let's put the, oops, I dropped my sunglasses. I didn't put the grill grate back on before I put the pot in. Place it like that. All right. Let's close that up. Let's get everything back up to temperature. Thankfully, I didn't break my sunglasses, so that's good. And I'll put you guys back over here. So while that cooks, if again, sort of, if my past streams are any sort of indication in terms of timing of things, it'll take me about 45 minutes to chop this parsley, right? Per the OC calculations. So I'm going to put this bowl off to the side real quick. And we are going to chop up some parsley. Let's make sure you guys can see it okay. I'm looking on my other screen here. I'll move that a little bit closer. I guess I'll just do this kind of standing up here. I need like an OC signal, like the bat signal, because this is his favorite part of every grill stream, the 3-hour chopping monologue. So again, I like to just do big chops first. Then we'll move into more like medium-sized chops. Let's get that out of the way. Then we'll get into like smaller, sort of finer chops. We're getting there, guys. We're almost there. It will probably be good for our purposes here. Yep. I'm happy with that. So let's go and check if our water or not our water, but our pot is boiling now. No, we're at about 300 still. Yeah. So we need a little bit more time for the charcoal to kick in and really get that heat up again. But I figure one thing that might be kind of fun, guys, is, again, this is probably going to take 45-ish minutes to really sort of cook down here. I'm going to get a cigar and we'll just kind of chat a little bit and kind of pass the time here. So give me one moment and get so that I can get my cigar stuff. So I got some cigars, got my cutter, got my lighter. So this is what I'm going to be smoking, guys. This is Oliva Series V, sort of a darker wrapper. Um, and again, I like this because it's got a bit of a deeper flavor. If you're just starting to get started um, with again with cigars, I would not recommend this as your first cigar. It might be a little bit too powerful. Um, so again, you could get sort of like their sort of a Connecticut wrapper, which is way more mild. Again, sort of if you're just getting started, but again, sort of if you've been smoking for a while, then I would recommend sort of picking up a box of these. So let's see if we got anybody else. No, Dodger's gone. Still got a few folks. What I'll do is I need a drink to kind of go along with this, right? So what I'll do is I'm gonna go get a few different whiskeys and we'll just kind of try them out here. So give me one moment. Have some whiskey, guys. So I'm gonna taste all three of these and kind of give you guys my tasting notes, if you would. But again, before we do that, um, let's oops, let's check and see if this is boiling now. It's starting to get there. So let's give it a little bit more time and keep that lid closed. Let me get this at a good angle. All right. Let me see. I might have left something inside. Oh, there we go. So to pass the time, I figure we can have a little bit of a smoke. And when I'm smoking, I am actually contractually obligated to wear my sunglasses, even though it's it's like it's super dark outside. I mean, I signed a contract, guys, so I can't sort of not do this. So let's start with the cigar. So again, this is a Oliva Serie V. So they just like a lot of different sort of shapes, right? So this is a double Robusto. So again, so what that means is, this is probably the most sort of common shape of the cigar. You got sort of like the chopped off end, but then obviously this is nice and round and whatnot, and then you cut that, of course, and then you light it up and smoke it. But again, double just means it's slightly larger than a typical size Robusto, basically. So there's lots of different ways that you can cut a cigar. I have what's called a V cutter. So you can either do just like a simple sort of straight cut. You can do a V style, and then there's also called a punch. Actually, so this is like a super cheap sort of lighter here, but it actually has a punch sort of an attachment here on the bottom. I like a V cut just because I think you don't get sort of as much lip to sort of straight up straight up tobacco sort of contact. I think with a V cut, it's sort of the best of both worlds. You get sort of access to sort of puff the cigar, but then sort of like the surrounding is still pretty much there. So you still have sort of like that sort of like a smooth texture to kind of sort of put your lips around, basically. Um, so what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and chop. And again, I like to chop sort of up and down here. You can also do like a side to side sort of cut as well. But again, I like to do sort of sort of it's like a side. Oh, sorry. Actually, almost did it the wrong way. But from what I like it. So again, so that wasn't like the best cut here. Like it's slightly sort of off center. But again, it gives me access to smoke, and I still have like that sort of overall structure without it going straight into the tobacco, which can kind of be flaky and like you may not want all that sort of taste in your mouth, I guess. Again, you want to enjoy the cigar, not actually eat it, right? Now, if you're Daniel Katz, he likes to unwrap the cigar and put it in his drink and not smoke it. So, um, I don't know how pleasurable that is, but hey, if it works for Daniel, it must work for others. So again, we have our cigar here. I wish I had my my Dunhill lighter working. Unfortunately, again, there's like a whole sort of story like behind that. Unfortunately, let me kind of bump you guys up just a little bit. Um, so so what happened with that is I ended up here. Let me actually, you know what? I'll tell that story here in a minute. Like we're kind of like wasting time here, not actually smoking, right? So let me. where did my, oh, here it is. My shades are getting too dark, guys. So this is just like a butane lighter here, very very cheap. I actually got this as sort of like a package deal. I was on cigars dot sorry, cigarbid.com. It's it's sort of like a sort of like an auction site for cigars. But it's not necessarily like cigars that like people have like stored in their you know cigar cellars, or you know, sort of even like like a walk-in a humidor or whatever, right? It's more just it's like straight from the manufacturer, or like there might be like a middleman, but it's also of new cigars, and they're sort of typically on like the cheaper range, um, but it's kind of in like an auction sort of format. So I guess what they do is they buy the cigars from the manufacturers wholesale. They kind of act as like the middleman, and then um, they kind of start the bidding at sort of like their wholesale price, I guess. And, if it goes up to sort of like the manufacturer, so at the MSRP, then great, they're making a profit. Um, but I guess that's sort of what drives people to their site. You may get it at like a wholesale price, but if you don't, then it's still a pretty good deal, I guess, right? So let's go ahead and light this up here. And again, I will show you how I light a cigar. This is now there's kind of like two. Now, again, depending on your fuel source, whether you're using butane or an actual flame, um, I like to kind of here, here, I will do it, and then I'll kind of talk through it sort of as I do it. So I kind of get it up sort of close here. Again, I almost like to like write, sort of use this as like a pin and sort of like write it. Again, just kind of slowly exposing it to to the heat. Like you don't want to like full blast it just yet, to sort of get things warmed up. And like I'll even do sort of that type of motion, like I'll kind of rotate it around. So once I get to that point, what I like to do is I like to start to puff it, and by sort of puffing it, you're introducing the fire into the stick itself. So also, you never really want to like keep keep the cigar sort of, I guess, like with like sort of using it as like a torch, like a lit flame or whatever. Again, you just kind of want to have the sort of a tobacco sort of roasting. Like you don't want it to be on fire. Like you don't want to be tasting fire. You want to be enjoying the sort of aromas and like the smells of the actual tobacco, and sort of not have it be on fire. So let's talk a little bit about how you properly puff a cigar, right? So I think when people first get into cigars, especially if you're coming from sort of smoking cigarettes, you may be used to inhaling, right? So you don't want to do that. I think you can tell when you're inhaling is when you're kind of using your full sort of diaphragm, right? If you're sucking all the way down to your sort of lungs and like your diaphragm, then you're fully inhaling, and you don't want to do that. In order to actually puff, you're really just doing a very, very small inhale, but it's only into your mouth. Again, you're not doing full, you're not doing full inhalation. You're just doing just enough to get some smoke into your mouth, and then you kind of switch it around. You kind of get the flavors, the aromas, and then you puff it out, right? So let's try that again. Just a very small sort of puff, very small sort of sort of sucking in. But again, you just keep the smoke in your mouth, then you puff it out. You never fully inhale. So that's my little sort of a cigar talk. Um, Let me go back to the story of like the Dunhill. Um, so a couple of weeks back, I was actually on eBay just browsing. I was originally looking for like an ST DuPont, like actually like the Legrand Kling, I think it's called, because that's the famous one. That's the really iconic one. Um, but man, you there is there's no way to get them, cheap or whatever. Again, not saying that like I'm cheap or anything, but like retail is like 1,400, 1,500 bucks for a lighter. Now, that's a lighter that you keep forever. That's something that you pass down to your children once they are of smoking age, right? Um, but again, it's I mean, I can't really justify spending that much on a single lighter right now. So, what's the next best option? It's Dunhill. Dunhill, uh, is kind of right there, sort of with sort of uh, ST DuPont. Like it's almost like sort of like the Mercedes and like the BMW sort of battle, right? They're kind of in that same sort of, I guess, you know, again, sort of ST DuPont is going to be higher, right? But again, sort of Dunhill wasn't far behind. So you typically want to puff maybe every 45 seconds, to like a minute, just to sort of keep everything going. Because the thing that you don't want to happen is you don't want to have the actual cigar go out. And then you have to relight and repuff and all that. Um, Again, you don't want to do that. Um, so so anyway, um, you know, one thing I just want to check real quick is just whether this is boiling now. I probably won't take you guys with me. Like this is going to be a super quick check. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. Let me throw that around a little bit. All right, so I'm happy that that's actually in a good spot now. So that's boiling, and again, sort of that's what we want. So again, I'm thinking that that will probably take 30 to 45 minutes to really sort of cook down, and then we'll plate up, and then we'll have a like a bite and all that. But anyway, let's do another puff. I do have my ashtray, but it's over there. It's it's fine here. But anyway, so since the ST DuPont was kind of out, I was now looking at Dunhill, and Dunhill is much more affordable, but they still maintain a really nice sort of quality, sort of up with sort of like the ST DuPonts. Um, so one of their most popular lines is called the Rolagas. So it's kind of just like a pocket type, like it's almost like the size of this, but like maybe just like a little bit smaller. Um, and you know what? Let me go inside and get it. Like there's no point in me like talking about it like without actually showing it. So let me take one more puff, and I'll go get it real quick. All right. So anyway, I was on eBay. I was looking for a Dunhill lighter, and I came across this one here. I mean, let me make sure that that's kind of in sort of frame here. Let me actually stand up, make sure that's yeah. So I found this really beautiful Dunhill roller glass. This is sort of a brown and kind of like a reddish sort of shell kind of exterior with some gold sort of lining here around the edges. It's really beautiful. So that's what it kind of looks like on the inside as well. Now, I can't light this. The problem is, um, so let me kind of tell you sort of what happened with the transaction. So I was on eBay. Um, like the eBay listing looked good. He had lots and lots of pictures. He had videos of it lighting up and everything, and I was like, okay, I'm sold. So this guy's in Japan, and so basically, um, it was going to take about a week to get to me. And I said, that's fine, no worries. So so it gets to me, and one thing I sort of realized while it was shipping was everyone online was saying that you need a special adapter on your butane in order to fill a Dunhill lighter. It's like, okay. So I managed to find a adapter on Amazon, and it actually arrived like within a day or two of the lighter arriving. So I said, perfect. Okay, I'm set. So I watched a couple of videos on YouTube on sort of how to attach the adapter and how to properly fill it up and everything. Um, One thing now, you know what? It would be better if I actually show you this here. So this is the bottom of the lighter, and this is a little cap that goes here, and sort of this is where you actually insert the butane. So again, from not sure how sort of well that sort of looks, but um, there's supposed to be a very thin stem inside this sort of chamber, and that is sort of what captures like the butane. Um, so let's close that back up. So one picture that the guy maybe forgot or purposely did not put in there was the fact that the stem was bent a little bit, meaning I really couldn't fill it up properly. So what I ended up doing was I was kind of impatient, and I decided to try to fill it up anyway, knowing that I might damage this a little bit more. Right? Let me get this going again. Again, if it starts to get on fire, just sort of wave it out. Like you don't want it to be on fire. You just want it to be sort of roasting, I guess. Anyway, so the stem, the actual fuel stem is bent. I put in the adapter, and the adapter actually kind of like lined it up like back to what it should be shaped, is kind of sort of up and down. Um, and I thought, well, okay, maybe I can actually, uh, fill this up. I stuck the adapter in, I stuck the butane in, and it was filling up. I thought, okay, great, that's awesome. When I when it was done filling up, I tried to take out uh, the this like the butane, the adapter, and the stem came out with the butane, so it fully detached, unfortunately. So again, when I was showing this sort of earlier, I don't know Again, it's probably too dark, but you probably couldn't tell that there was no stem inside the, so like the filler filler sort of cap or whatever. So now I'm in a position where I can't refill it. Um, so what do I do? Again, so I mean, it does have enough for me to use it for like a little bit, but once it's out of butane, that's it. I can't really use it anymore. Um, so I started to look online. Well, actually, here, let me sort of back up here. You might be asking, why didn't you just go back to the seller and say, hey, you didn't show me this angle, or you didn't show me inside the, like the fuel compartment or whatever. Um, but I ended up just like kind of starting out just like searching for like another one. Like another one with the same sort of brownish sort of color, and it's like the gold lining. And I could not find another one in that same sort of configuration. Turns out it's a pretty rare sort of look, I guess, or like the way that sort of everything was configured. Apparently, it's sort of pretty rare. Um, so I thought, well, I mean, I don't really want to give up this sort of look. So this is the look that like I really enjoy. Um, so I said, you know what? Let's just see if there's some kind of like a repair shop around me, or maybe some kind of like online kit that I could just buy to fix it myself. Well, even in Nashville, like a pretty sort of decently sized city, I could not find anybody that would repair it. I called up a few cigar shops. Again, they're really just in the business just to sell cigars and provide a space to actually smoke and whatnot. TVs, whatever, but they don't do lighter repairs, and that's fine. So my next option was to look for some way to fix it myself. Sure enough, I find a Dunhill roller glass a repair kit, and it's not necessarily for one specific part. Like it's basically sort of like a one size fits all type of repair kit. It comes with a lot of gaskets. So this thing is actually sort of quite sort of complicated inside. And there's all types of like O-rings and gaskets and tubes and stuff. So it comes with all of that, and it's like $45 or something. And thankfully, it does come with the with the stem. Sorry for like my neighbor sort of like AC like a heater unit. Um, but again, so hopefully you sort of hear me okay. Um, anyway, uh, so I decided to purchase that. I bought it Friday, yesterday, so it should come in the mail maybe sort of early next week, or well, I don't know. I mean, maybe the shipping might be affected by like Thanksgiving or something, but we can sort of hopefully not. I I'm gonna watch some YouTube videos and see if I can fix it myself. Um, because then again, I mean, I didn't even sort of talk about the price. Like this was about like 180, and with shipping from Japan, it was like 200 or something. So that's much more reasonable than dropping 1,500 on a ST DuPont. But again, maybe one day I'll be there, in a position where I could just drop 1,500 like it's nothing, right? But not right now. So that's the story about the lighter. Let me take a swig of water, and something that I'll probably do as well is just check and make sure everything's still going well here. We still got some nice bubbles there. Still doing well over there. So probably by the time that I finish this cigar is probably when um, when I will probably, pull that off. We'll do a little bit of the mixing here. I didn't talk about this, but this is a immersion blender. And what we'll do is we're going to take some of it out, blend it up, and then we're going to pour that back in, and that's going to thicken everything up a little bit. But that's going to be later. That's probably like in 20, 25 minutes or so. So for the time being, I'm stuck with this sort of cheap lighter. Again, but this lighter is fine. It gets the job done, but it's not really all that glamour. Again, I want something nice, so that's why I bought this. So I'll try my hand at fixing it. Hopefully, I can fix it. Um, and then we'll go from there, I guess. But let's talk about the sort of liquor selection that I have here. On my left, I have Redbreast 15. So if you were in Vegas last year, you might remember that Sean was kind enough to get like a bottle or two of this when we went to the Monte Cristo Cigar Lounge. Sean was very, very kind. I think they charge him like $600 for this bottle. You can pick it up for like 200, I think, sort of like 180 or something like that. It's probably the most expensive liquor that I have right now. But again, really, really good. Question is, do you need this? Do you need this over the 12, like the standard 12? Let's just pour a little bit. And I'll kind of give you the notes. Again, a machine would say, like the bouquet, right? So up front, I smell apple, I smell pear. Almost like a cream, like a vanilla almost. So let's actually taste it. I'm definitely getting more pronounced, like a vanilla bean almost. There's a bit more sort of citrus to it, almost like a banana, almost actually. Yeah, I mean it's like it's really really smooth going down. I mean, there's a little bit of like a typical sort of liquor sort of burn down, but it's not bad at all. I mean it's close to the smoothness of like a bourbon. So let's take another puff. I didn't even really talk about like the notes of this. I find that with cigars, it's a bit tougher to sort of get like the notes and sort of like the flavors that you're experiencing. Um, I think you kind of like need to hold the smoke in your mouth like a little bit longer. Here, let me try that. So there's a method called the retrohale. If you ever seen people like inhale, the smoke is in their mouth, but it comes out of their nose. That's called retrohaling. And I've tried it. I can sort of do it, but it definitely takes practice. And to be honest, it really burns. It will kind of burn sort of like your sort of like your nostrils. I don't really do it, but one of the advantages that sort of everybody says is that you can pick up on a lot more notes and a lot more flavors on it. Let me just make sure this is So that's still about sort of 400. So it's kind of holding steady. So that's good. Um, when you're not retrohaling, you may not be able to pick up on sort of all the different notes, and you may not get get the full effect of the cigar. Um, and you know that's fine. That's fine. I was trying to see if I could taste any other notes for that. Yeah, yeah. Really, it's pear. It's sort of apple, a vanilla bean. Sort of like a creamy sort of a vanilla bean, and maybe like a little bit of cinnamon. Maybe maybe a little bit of. Okay, now I can't even say it. But anyway, let's take another puff here. Now with this, I'm getting a bit of pepper. I'm getting, almost like a shoe leather taste. I mean, again, not like I've ever tasted shoe leather, um, but you get sort of that sort of, I guess, scent, I guess you would say. Let me do another puff. Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not as good with sort of like this style of sort of, taste testing like a actual cigar, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, I mean, I mean, it's much tougher to do that for me at least. I can do it like it's sort of like the aroma, sort of like the bouquet. Um, I can do that much more with whiskey and like in wine, like especially wine. I'm still developing my sort of palate. And part of developing your palate is you really have to like taste like a lot of different like foods and really have a strong foundation for what's like a lot of those minor sort of notes taste like. Like you'll hear roses, or you'll hear cedar plank, or like there's a whole sort of glossary on sort of terms about like tasting wine. Like there's even like cat piss, right? um so there's a lot to sort of uh, you know sort of learn there. And there's there's ways to sort of accelerate that sort of process. If you really want to get into wine, there's sort of like wine schools, and but that's something that you do if you're living off a trust fund. That's something that not a normal person can really have much time for. Like, maybe there's like online versions of wine school, and like maybe there's like a weekend class or something. But um, if you want to do that like during the tight daytime, you know, you can't really have a job, I guess, or whatever. Sort of, even if you do have a job, you can't say, oh, I'm going to take an hour off because I got to go to wine school. I don't think that would fly. So how many do we still have watching here? We have two watching. Guys, if you're in the back room, if you want to join the stream, I put the StreamYard link at the very top. I can't remember if I pinned it or not, but it's on there. If you want to talk cigars or sort of whiskey or whatever, you know, go back up and click on that, and we can have a conversation together. Let me just make sure that this is still at a good temp here. It looks like it might have gone down a little bit. Let me stir it up a little bit. So it's starting to cook down, which is what I want, but I think I want to add a little bit more water. So I'm going to go back in, add some water, and then I'll be right back. Lost my cigar. Well, that took care of the ash problem, right? Again, so the ash is not really a problem. What you should do when you're smoking a cigar is you really should try to keep as much ash on as possible. You'll see some guys like doing like this to try to keep the ash on because the ash kind of sort of it actually sort of adds like a flavor a little bit. Um, but again, now that I dropped it, I can't really enjoy that ash anymore. Typically, when it gets to this point, I like to also shed the wrapper so that you just have the actual sort of a cigar going. So let's take another swig here. Yeah, nice, smooth, and a lot of citrus. You get some of those sort of creamy notes. Let's light this back up. This is actually a Zippo lighter without the actual sort of like the bronze in the case. Sort of a thing that you actually slot this into. Um, if you're just starting out with sort of cigars, something that looks sort of classy for basically no money, like maybe 15, $20. It's like a Zippo lighter. You can get them on Amazon easy. You can even buy them in the store. Um, but they come in lots of different colors. You can get faux gold, you can get sort of a brass or bronze color. You can even go for like a metal look if you want. I am more of a sort of like a warm bronze look type of guy. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's what I had for several years. I've been smoking cigars probably for about 3 or 4 years now. Um, I will tell you the story of sort of how I got into smoking cigars here in a minute, but let's put the red breast away. Let's try another one. Springbank 10. This is sort of like this is single malt Scotch whiskey. Um, and I was seeing if it gave the region here. Well, okay. So it's Springbank. Sorry, that was kind of like a dumb sort of a question, but or not question, but like an observation. So in Ireland, uh, it's sort of a wealth of Ireland, Scotland, really sort of more sort of Scotland, I guess, with the Scottish office. That's where you find a lot of the really good sort of whiskey, sort of like the single malt Scotch whiskey. I don't know like the full process of this. I wish I did. That's actually something that I could probably do a bit of learning on. Um, but there's single malt again. So malting is sort of the idea of once your hops and like your barley grows. And again, so I'm gonna screw this up, but I think there's a point where it's either like roasted on fire or it goes in a vat or something. But after it does that step, what happens is there is a very wide floor, like a large room basically that you pour all of this out on. And the idea is you give it a lot of surface area for it to dry out. So after it goes through sort of like that's the first step, I guess. Again, I think you kind of like light it, like you kind of like let it sort of smoke out a little bit, and then you let it cool down sort of on a sort of open floor. Like they have like these giant sort of wheelbarrows that they'll have sort of all this in, and they'll dump it on the floor, and then it dries out, and that's called malting. So sometimes you might see double malted, which means it goes through that process twice. It gets reheated and then it gets put back in the floor again for it to like to dry out. Anyway, um, but again, I think a lot of people gravitate towards like a single malt. I mean, it's very very good, and there's different regions of like Scotland, like in Ireland, like in things like that, and there's different aisles and um, I mean, I would love to go to Scotland one day and just do a bunch of tours. But this comes from the spring. It was, so this comes from the Springbank region of Scotland, or like the Isle, I guess. So let's first get like a bouquet. This one's a lot like thinner. It's not as sort of aromatic, but I almost get like a peach flavor, like peach sort of creamy sort of peach flavor. But there's almost like a raisin note in there. So let's actually taste it. I think it's more balanced than the red breast because with the red breast, I feel like you could distinctly taste sort of all the different sort of things that sort of goes into it, or at least sort of what it tastes like. With this one, it really just tastes like one sort of solidified, solid note, I guess. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any sort of other notes. Yeah, I mean, really, it's like peach, it's like raisin, and like a little bit of like creaminess to it too. But again, very smooth. Oh yeah, so like the story. Sorry, the temperature's going back down a little bit here. Let me check it out. No, we're still at a decent simmer, so I think we're okay, to be honest. So the story of how I got into cigars. So I was on a vacation with my parents, my sister, and my brother-in-law. My sister had just gotten married. Um, it's like my brother-in-law. Uh, I mean, again, he wasn't really big into cigars necessarily, but he knew enough to teach somebody else how to smoke, basically. Um, so one night, naturally, sort of on the beach. Um, well, actually, no, we might have been hanging out on like the balcony, I guess. It's like a beach, like a beachfront facing property. Um, it's like my mom's like a bookkeeper, and she has a client that, instead of sort of paying her sort of monetarily, he offers his multi-million beachfront condo to us for a week free of charge. And this is like a 6 or 7 grand value, basically. So we're like, yeah, that is our vacation for the year. Free, and we only have to worry about cost of restaurants, food, and all that. It's a pretty sweet deal. And again, like there's 3 4 bedrooms, very very nice. So anyway, uh, we've been doing that for like a few years now. We're really, I mean, it might be closer to like a decade now that we've been doing that actually. But anyway, um, so we've been so anyway. one night, Hunter, my sort of brother-in-law, he sort of, says one night, like, hey, have you ever smoked? You sort of smoked a cigar or anything? I told him I smoked a cigarette once in like in high school, but but that was about the extent of it. Again, I didn't do drugs. I didn't really do any sort of smoking, like a sort of cigarettes or anything during sort of high school. I was sort of the guy that got perfect attendance, and I got mostly good. I mean, I think like the lowest I ever got was like a C or something, like a class, but mostly A and Bs, right? Um, but anyway, he sort of asked me the question, "Have you ever smoked before?" I said no, and he asked me, "Do you want to try it?" And I said, "Okay, sure, why not?" Um, so he ends up, cutting it for me, lighting it for me. It was some cheap ass, you know, nothing cigar. Again, for no disrespect to my brother-in-law, um, I mean, like it may even been sort of like a scented or like a specific taste style of cigar. Um, you know, not really like something like this. Anyway, so he cuts it for me, like he likes it for me, like he shows me how to cut it, shows me how to light it. Um, and then he tells me, it's like the same thing that I told you guys, like you don't necessarily inhale all the way to the lungs. You just inhale just enough to get into your mouth. Then you let the aromas kind of play around in your mouth. Oh, that sounded wrong. Sorry, uh, but um, but you but you but you sort of get the scent of it, get the aromas, and then just puff it out. Um, and so I was coughing, right? I was probably going a little too deep, and sort of that's why I was coughing. Um, but I didn't really like it. I didn't really understand the appeal first, and so for so again for like a while, um, I didn't really like it. I mean, I think we ended up smoking like two or three sort of during the duration of that trip. It was basically sort of one per night, basically. And by the third time, I started to get it. Like I was like, okay, okay, now I see why people like this. I still wasn't necessarily getting all the notes or the flavors or anything like that, but I was starting to understand sort of why people smoke. So, um, so I think when I got back from that vacation, this was like in Florida, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned that, but anyway, when I got back from the vacation, um, I think like I kind of just didn't do anything with it for like a while. I think I went like several months, maybe even like 6 months. Or so 6 months went by, and then all of a sudden I had the urge again to give it another shot. Um, so thankfully thankfully there's actually a cigar shop like 5 minutes from my house. And it's a decent cigar shop. Like it doesn't have like the super nice sticks. Like it had, like the nicest thing they had was or were the drones basically. He had like three or four different boxes of sort of three or four different styles of the drones basically. And he had other things like 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 this, and he had cohibas. I've I've never been a big cohiba guy. I don't understand. here's the thing: the Cuban cohibas, very good, very good. I like those. The non Cuban ones, they're just men, you know. But anyway, I mean, so 6 months go by. I kind of just picked some cigars at random, just like ones that look interesting to me. And I went home. I did what he taught me. I learned how to light it, sort of how to smoke it. Like I bought a cheap, cutter and whatnot. And I started to get it, but I still wasn't like fully into it. So I would smoke once every 3 months or 4 months or something. But then I picked up a stick, like it must have been a Padron or like a Davidoff or something. And I was like, wow, this is way better than anything that I've been smoking to date. So I thought, okay, I'm starting to get it now. I get sort of like the ones that, or at least the ones that like the people really really like. And they're a bit pricier. But at first, I was just buying single sticks. And that's kind of when I found the sort of found the found the cigarbib.com site. Again, I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. But anyway, I started to pick up on the good sticks, and that kind of enticed me to start smoking a little bit more. And this is maybe like a year later, I guess. Um, so I started to buy the nicer sticks. Sorry, I think the charcoal's really going down at this point. I think we're down like to 200. I'm gonna take it out and then add more charcoal in. So give me like a couple minutes. I mean, it was still going at like a pretty decent sort of you know, bubble. There were still sort of plenty of bubbles in there. So I think sort of I'll just kind of leave it be, honestly. Again, I'm just looking for like a slow sort of simmer, basically. For the two guys that are still sort of hanging on, thank you, thank you. I mean, I do sort of do sort of like the company. So again, if you guys are still watching, type in the chat. You know, sort of add some comments here. I would love to sort of read your sort of your sort of stories on cooking or smoking or drinking or anything. But anyway, so about a year in, I start to understand like, oh, there's really good sticks. They're 16, $20 each, but you know, whatever, right? But then I start to understand like, okay, for you to get these like at a decent price, maybe $10 a stick, you got to buy the boxes. And I was like, man, like, will I really like start smoking this much? Like, will I really start to go through a whole box? And I thought, well, you know, I'll smoke, one of these like a month or something, and that'll get me by for a year or whatever. So I started buying, I had like 10, 15 sticks at this point. And then I thought, man, I need to like start storing these correctly. So I find a cheap sort of a humidor on Amazon, like $50. It could hold up to like 20 or 30 cigars. I mean, I still have it actually. Um, but I might actually give it to like my brother-in-law. Sorry, guys. But I might give it, give it to like my brother-in-law because fast forward another year, I really start to get into cigars. I'm buying boxes like left and right. kind of start to get into Cubans. You know, and if you need, ooh, sorry about that. I might give this another light. When your cigar goes out, you really should just go ahead and knock off the ash and relight it. Because if you're trying to relight with the ash on, it's kind of like putting fire into a fire. It's like you've already again look, you've already smoked sort of the actual like burnt stuff. So you're lighting up the burnt tobacco. You you know you need to be lighting the stuff that has not been burnt up yet, basically. Yeah, I think that's what I need to do. Let me get my ashtray real quick. So this is a Padron ashtray. I'm not sure if you can even see that, but I have two ashtrays. I have this one, and then I have one that's like literally like 10 pounds. It's heavy. But now that I've kind of chipped that off, let's go back and relight. Sometimes your lighter will kind of you know kind of die on you a little bit. So that's why I always carry two lighters. You know, and again, this sort of happens every so often. So when one lighter kind of like dies off, I will start using the second lighter. And when that one dies off, the first one is kind of back to, being able to be used again. And I don't really know like the science behind that or why it does that, but you know. So let's get into the third one here. This is Balvenie 12. And Kyle D can really tell you about this one. By the way, if you're into like the watch community and like the colony or whatever, Kyle D is a really good resource for sort of Scotch and whiskey. But this is again Scotland. The double wood. So again, double wood implies that it was aged in two different barrels, or two different types of wood barrels, I guess. One might be a sherry cask, one might be an oak cask. Again, I'm not really sure, but again, Kyle can tell you about that. So let's give this a little sample. That was a slightly heavy pour, but it's all right. So let's get the bouquet. This one's got like sort of like almost like a deeper fruity note, like a sort of like a blood orange or like a pomegranate. And there's a third note there, but I can't really pick it up. Let me taste it. Yeah, almost like an apple, I guess. So this one doesn't really have sort of like that. That's like that creamy sort of stuff. It's sort of like that creamy sort of note. That's like the other two had, but it's very like fruit forward, I guess you would say. Yeah, sort of very sort of fruit forward, smooth. You don't necessarily get like that burn that you get from with the other two, but very good though. So I'm thinking here in like the next 5 to 10 minutes here, this will be good enough for us to start to do the sort of mashing of the beans, I guess you would say. Again, it's only going to be a little bit. It's not going to be the full thing, but anyway. So going back to the sort of cigar story, I guess about a year and a half in, I start to really get into it, and I find that I'm quickly outgrowing my little sort of a humidor, and I start to look at options for like an actual cabinet. Um, sort of like an actual sort of one that has like a fan and everything. Um, and so naturally, I just go on Facebook Marketplace. I'll see sort of what's for sale, sort of in like my local area, and uh, and I find something that looks interesting. It's about the size of a small fridge. It's sort of not like the full size fridge, but just one of those sort of mini fridges. It has like 3 or 4 racks. It has a fan. It has temperature control. Uh, and it claims to have an actual sort of Yogan sort of like a sort of humidity control as well. But again, I sort of owned this humidor now for like 2 years. But it's not necessarily I don't know. It's so 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 basically what did was I bought this humidor off this guy locally for like $100, like $150. I think it was like 300 new or something like that. Um, so I buy it, like I set it up, um, but I found that it wasn't really maintaining the temperature that I wanted or like the humidity. Typically, you should store cigars, kind of at like that 69, 70 degrees mark, and you should also have a humidity between 68 to 72. Um, like, so what I was finding was I needed to give my sort of humidor a little bit of help. Um, so I looked into like ways to sort of introduce more sort of moisture and sort of sort of not heat, but sort of not straight up sort of moisture either, but ways to season it better. Again, that's something that I didn't really talk about, but when you get a humidor, you need to season it. And seasoning it is basically just the process of getting distilled water. Don't use normal water. Use distilled water. And you want to get like a sponge or like even like damp sort of cloths or whatever. Not like super damp to where you're leaving like water blotches or whatever, but just damp enough to where you're kind of introducing moisture into the wood. So that's what kind of maintains sort of the humidity. Now, in sort of like a fridge unit, I guess I really couldn't find a good way to introduce sort of extra help for it. But I ended up going on Reddit and I found a post, and this guy had a pretty sort of ingenious sort of thought. Just get a couple of sponges and soak them in distilled like hot water. Put them on the bottom of your humidor, it's like the bottom rack, and just kind of swap out, or well, at least you know every few weeks ago, check on them. If the sponges are dry, just add a bit more water, and that's going to naturally sort of keep your sort of kind of fridge unit style humidor humid. So let me take a swig. So why do you even want to keep your cigars humid? Well, for you to get sort of all the flavors, let me see. So, okay. So Diego goes live in about 30 minutes. And that's actually sort of pretty good timing here. I think we'll be wrapped up here uh pretty soon here. Let's make sure we're still going at like a simmer here. Let me give this a stir. And I think I will add a bit more charcoal here. So give me 1 second, guys. Let's get the glove. And I had a towel, like a, let me see, where did I even go? Here it is. I put stuff on top of it. So let me take this out real quick. Let's add a bit more color. Sorry, guys, this might take 1 second. So what happened there was my sort of rag, just like the other thing that I'm using in lieu of my other glove here, it got cut on sort of the sort of like the grate, and I was yanking on it. I could not get it out. So what happened was the grate fell into the fire, and so I had to take it out again, put the grate back on. But anyway, so we're good. Let's do another relight here. Hey, a shot in the dark, man. Hey, thank you for joining. Shotty, it's again, it's great to see you in the chat. Again, the shot in the dark goes way back. This guy's been around the Archieverse for a very long time. Probably sort of as long as I have. I mean, I started out with Archie a decade ago. And it's kind of crazy to think that I've spent this long in this sort of space. But when you make friends, just why not? Keep on going, right? Shadi, are you drinking anything tonight? Are you into smoking or anything? Or sort of let me know in the chat. I've been talking about first I talked about sort of like these few whiskeys here. I've got Redbreast 15, Springbank 10, and Balvenie 12. I've got like 5 or 7 more whiskeys, in my sort of cabinet. But I decided to pull these 3 out, and sort of see what we have, going here. Just give a little, sample taste. But anyway, so I've been talking about sort of, sampling these. I've kind of talked about my journey into cigars. Um, so by the way, I'm smoking this tonight, Oliva Serie V. This is this is for like a darker wrapper. Again, when you smoke a cigar, it's typically going to be like a lighter color wrapper, like more like a tan color, or it's going to be like a brownish, or they even give us like sort of black colors of sort of the tobacco. Now, typically, the darker the wrapper, the more intense the flavor is going to be. Kind of like sort of like red wines. If you start out with something like a Pinot, Pinot Noir, that's going to be kind of like your starter red wine. It's going to be a little sweet, but it's not going to have a lot of the big bold flavors that you might find in a Burgundy, or Bordeaux, or Fouillac, or whatever. Merlot. Um, so you hear the term sort of medium body, full bodied wines. Well, the full bodied wines are typically going to be sort of in like your Bordeaux region, but there's other regions, right? Like there's Italy, there's Argentinian wine. There's sort of wines literally all over the world. But again, sort of most of your big bodied reds are going to be in France, sort of in like the Bordeaux and like the Burgundy region. Um, but anyway, I was talking about my journey, kind of how I first bought a few sticks sort of after my brother-in-law showed me how to smoke, and then I later got a little small humidor box. I filled that up quickly. Then I got a sort of a small, sort of mini fridge size humidor, and I don't know. I've got like maybe like 50 sticks right now from various different brands. I've got a couple of Cubans. Here in a couple of weeks, it'll be my birthday, and I'm going to be doing a grill stream of me doing a giant tomahawk ribeye steak, and that'll be fun. But what I'll probably do that night too is I'm probably going to smoke a nice Cuban. So Cubans in the U.S. is not people, but Cuban cigars in the U.S. are very hard to come by. They're not super hard, but you have to know certain people. You have to know who to go to. You have to know a friend of a friend of a friend. Now in like places like Europe, like Venice, sort of the machine sort of has those, and they're cheap. They're like the price of like a normal cigar over here. Like a Cuban might be like 10 or 15 bucks over there. Over here in the States, you're looking at more like 50 bucks a stick, or worse. But I do have some Cubans. I mean, again, I know a guy that knows a guy, and he can get them for me. But be ready to pay, because a box of like nice Cubans, like a Boliva, or like a Hoyo de Monterrey, those might be 3, 4, 500 bucks a box. There might be 10, there might be 25 in there, but it's usually closer like the 10. So now, like the natural question is, are Cubans better than normal cigars? I would say most of the time, yes. I feel like Cubans, you get a lot more transparent flavor. With sort of these, you kind of have to guess. Like, I guess I'm tasting pepper. I guess I'm tasting, leather or whatever. With Cubans, I feel like the flavors are a lot more obvious, and I think they're a lot more enjoyable too. Um, I think Cubans are what cigars really should be. Um, but again, they're pricey. They can be hard to get your hands on, at least here in the States. But if you know certain people and you can get them, then I think they're worth it. Shot says smoking. Oh, nice, man. Smoking an Opus X lost it. Hey, Shotty, that is an excellent cigar, man. That like those are like 50, 60, 70 bucks a stick, man. So you're smoking the good stuff. We've got Mental Jock. Hey, morning, my friend. Hey, Jock, thank you for coming on. Thank you for supporting. I do appreciate you sort of hopping in here. What else? My kind of evening, cigars, whiskey. Yeah. So, Jock, just sort of catch you up to speed. This is what I'm smoking tonight. Ooh, excuse me. A Oliva Serie V double Robusto. So I mean, I'm sort of like halfway on my stick right now. But Jock, let me show you what we have cooking. Let me kind of put the camera back in the fire here. What I have is red beans and rice. Again, it's sort of dark outside, so you can't really see that all too well. But this is a classic Cajun dish. It consists of a lot of onion, green bell pepper, celery, red beans, of course. Um, sort of like ham hocks again, sort of ham hocks. I don't even know sort of what part of the pig that comes from. Like it might be like the feet or something, but anyway, that's been cooking now for 30, 40 minutes. My sort of my fire keeps sort of dying down on me, but um, here in a minute we're actually going to do a process where we kind of mash some of the beans, and we're going to sort of thicken up the overall uh, sort of broth, I guess, with that. Um, let's see here. Oh, there's kind of a flurry of. Oh, nice smoke. Hey, John. Hey, Shaw. How you been? Not spoken ages. Yeah. Hey, man. With like the whole sort of Archie situation right now. Um, I mean, a lot of people are kind of getting away from Archie. It's sort of not that we don't sort of like the guy. If you've been around as long as me and Shaw have, you know that there were some golden days with Archie. He used to have a great panel. Um, he had Mark Goldberg. He had the Rancher. He even had oh gosh, who's the travel guy? Man, I'm completely blanking on his name right now. But you had Sucker Horn. You had all these great panelists. But it's really sad to see what kind of has Archie has become. I think he's figuring out that he can't really keep this gig up too much longer. Uh, People don't like the constant bitching and moaning. He is fully reliant on his donors and his supporters to fund his lifestyle. He's 600 grand in debt, and I think he's finding out that this whole YouTube thing is not going to be sustainable for very much longer, which is which is sad because I kind of grew up with Archie, right? I'm trying to think what age I was. I think I was around 20 years old when I started to watch Archie. Again, like in 2 weeks I'm about to turn 31. So I've been with Archie for like 11 years or something. I was watching his early video. Archie was the reason why I bought on a lot of my early sort of nice watches. I bought my Datejust thanks to Archie. I bought a Speedmaster. I just bought two different Speedmasters. I bought the Speedy Reduced first because again my wrist is smaller and I don't have like a giant wrist. like 6.5 inches. But I bought that first. I sort of felt like I wasn't getting the full speedy experience um, with sort of the reduced. So I only owned the speedy reduced for like 2 weeks. As soon as I like got it out of the box, I said, you know what? No, I want the full thing. I want the full professional speedy. So I ended up wearing it for like a week, seeing if I could really get into it. And I just kept saying, no, no, I need the full thing. So I ended up selling it 2 weeks later. And I actually bought another Speedy, like the full sort of Speedy, like the full Speedy Pro 42 mil, 1861 movement. And I just, again, even though it was maybe just a hair big for my wrist, I felt like that was a full Speedy experience. So, and I owned that for 3 or 4 years. I ended up having to sell it, unfortunately, to kind of help with the home purchase here. I now own a 2-story, 3-bedroom townhouse or town home, I guess I should say. And what I say is watches are they're very pleasurable, but they're temporary. If you ever need to get out, if you're ever in need of money, you can sell them quickly for sort of cash, and that sort of helped me close on my home. Um, I used to have a BMW 335i stick, double, double turbo. Love that car. Over 300 horsepower, 333, like the N54 engine. Really, really fun car. I had two cars for quite some time. I had my Lexus, again, so that's for like my daily driver. But then I had the BMW for like my sort of like my fun car on the weekends. I joined the BMW CCA. I would go on these mountain drives with them, multi-night, hotel type of things. And it was a lot of fun. But I decided, you know what? I'll do the sensible thing. I will keep the Lexus. I got to use the other lighter. Where did my lighter go? I got to take the shades off for this one. I don't know where my other lighter went. Okay, well, I'll just smoke this later, and I'll just sip on this. Anyway, I decided, you know what? Now's a good time to buy a home. It was right before the big, really sort of bubble, in like the mortgage, sort of the housing market, I guess. And I got in, just at the right time. I'm very glad that I did, because if I ended up buying a home 6 months later, I probably would have been priced out, man. Like to get sort of what I want. Uh, I totally would have been priced out. So again, again, watches are temporary. You love them, like you cherish them, but um, for me, I definitely do value like a nice watch. But if I was ever in a pinch, I'm ready to sell everything. So let's see. There's been a few more chats here. Bro, they're like crazy ex-girlfriends with me. I need a restraining order. Yeah, for 45 dollars. Yeah, 45 bucks. Oops. When I say they Lux and him, and Lux is the poison pill. And yes, yeah. Sort of going back to Archie. Yeah, look, Lux. I mean, it's kind of this sort of harmless guy. He here's the thing. A lot of people know that, I sort of started out with Archie. I was with him for years, and then I went into the Timmy camp. I was with Timmy for a very, very long time. I was with him for 3 years. I was Tim's first super chat. I think I was like his first or second member. So I was with Timmy from the start. But uh, if you if you're with Timmy and you go on these trips, if you go to Vegas, if you go to Napa with him, you'll kind of understand that he's a different guy behind the scenes. Um, when he's sort of chatting with you in the back, we would have calls together. I would tell him about my cooking and sort of hey, I'm thinking about getting this fragrance or whatever. Um, but then the big sort of fallout happened. Um, Diego started a channel of his own, and he wanted to do very sort of charitable streams. He wanted to raise money for his cause. And I'm not even going to try to sort of. I won't even try to say sort of just like the cause because it's like Thanadisphoric this dysplasia or something like that. I mean that's like 50% right. But anyway, he's really really passionate about that, and again that is awesome. I gladly support him with that effort. And sort of Mark too. Lucha, he has his type 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 2 sort of type 1 diabetes, and I'm very much happy to support that too. um Again, I have my own thing going on. I do have a speech impediment, like I have a stutter. And when I unboxed my tutor, we did a whole stream on for OC's channel, and we raised like 2 grand for sort of like the nonprofit like that I follow very closely. Sort of like the National Stuttering Association. um I've actually thought about like joining their board and everything, but um but again for like the time being, I just monetarily support them, and like I join a lot of their calls. I've actually done panels with them. I've done conferences with them. Um, you know, just to try to be a voice where folks maybe don't have that voice, right? Um, there's a couple more comments here in the chat. I treat this like a roller coaster, and the thing is, this does not get into my real life. Exactly, Jock. This is this is a drop in the ocean compared to my very interesting time on this earth. Exactly. But one thing I know I have got to know and meet some good friends. Yeah, yeah, totally, Jock. I mean, Jock, Jock, you've been to some of these sort of in in-person events. Like you went to London, like you went to like the Bro House. You got to meet OC, and you got to meet all these great guys, Thomas. Hey, you got to meet Marcelo, right? Right. So again, it's like a lot of great guys. I think your bond with this sort of community, at least the good guys, really increases when you actually go to some of these in-person events. I've been to Vegas, I've been to Napa, I've been to New York. So again, I've been to like my share, of them, and I feel like that bond grows a lot stronger, a lot closer when you actually go to these sort of in-person events. But anyway, guys, I think we're at the point where we need to start sort of mashing some of these beans here. So we're going to go back into grill stream mode real quick. What I'm going to do, let's make a spot. Let's kind of put some things out of the way here. Let's get the whiskeys back. And let's get our bowl. Let's put that there. And I have a ladle here. So yeah, here we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get some of the beans here. Maybe like three spoons worth, or 3 ladles worth. We're going to get the immersion blender. And I might have to scoot this back over here so that it actually reaches. But again, so this is what we have. And what I'll do, I'm going to plug this guy in. And I'm not sure if you guys can see that actually. Let me kind of do something like that real quick. So let's plug this guy in. and like the more sort of, like the sort of the traditional ways, like you just get like a big ass spoon and you kind of mash it against the walls of the bowl. But we're living in 2024, so I'm gonna get this immersion blender. Oop, I brought my sunglasses. Sorry, guys, this isn't really going in all that well. There we go. Pick up the sunglasses. And let's blast these real quick. Okay. Let's put that down over here. So now these are, properly sort of mashed up. This is going to thicken everything up. So I'm going to add the rest of this water here, and I'm going to pour this back in. Let's pour the water in. I'm sorry, guys, we can't really see this right now, but give me 1 second to kind of stir everything up. Okay. So we're at a good point here. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pack my ramekin with the rice that we made earlier. And I'm just going to zap it real quick like a microwave, like it's been sitting out here for, probably like an hour. But let's go ahead and pack the ramekin. Sorry, I guess my arm is in the way here, but we're going to make this a little bit fancy. Yeah, again, so this is sort of also what a mark does too. We're going to pack this in. And I'm going to zap this real quick. So I'm going to go heat this up in the microwave for, maybe like a minute, and then I'll be right back, okay? All right, guys, what I think I'll do is I'll actually probably wrap this up inside because there's really not a lot of light out here anymore. So I'm going to take you guys inside. I'm sorry, I think you're looking at my chest right now. Let me get this set up here. All right. Sorry, I got a mess. Let me close this. That's not attractive. Okay, but I think you can see the bowl. Yeah, you can see the bowl. This is my rod that goes with the Joe Tisser. Kind of move that out of the way right now. Let me go. Let's get the rice out real quick. So what we'll do with this rice is we're just gonna take this and we're gonna plop it down like so. Now I'm gonna go get the red beans and rice, or sorry, the actual that's sort of red bean portion of this. So give me one moment for that. All right. So this is what we've got here, guys. Let me kind of zoom in on that a little bit. So this is our red beans and rice. Let me kind of hold that up a little bit. So again, we had celery, onion, green bell pepper, uh, some andouille sausage, of course, red beans. We also have these hand hocks in here. These were mainly here just to flavor everything, but we don't need them anymore. Now again, some people will actually like go in there and kind of like chop it up and will actually sort of throw it back in to the overall pot. But there's again, it's sort of mostly fat, and again, I don't really want that. So but anyway, that's what we have here. And what we'll do now is we'll kind of start plating here. So let me go ahead and put it like that. Let's get some of this in here. Now, knowing me, I want to clean this up a little bit. Clean enough for me. And last but not least, I'm going to go grab some of that parsley that we chopped up. All right, so we're going to kind of dress this up a little bit with a bit of parsley. And that, guys, is my take on red beans and rice. What we're going to do first, actually, is I'm just going to get a few glamour shots here before we dig in. Let me take a few shots. Ooh, that's fogging up my camera real bad. Let me do this. Actually, let me do the zoom here. Whoops. Let me back up a little bit. There we go. And I'll get a shot of this too. Enough pictures, man. It's time to eat. So let's try it. Get a little bit of rice in there. That is a comfort meal, man. Let's get some sausage. Man, you eat that and you'll fall asleep. Really, really good. Lots and lots of flavor. But guys, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. There's just one more shot. Again, really, really good. And guys, I know it's been a little bit of a long one here, but thank you so much for sticking around with me. And again, next weekend, I'm probably not going to be doing a stream because, sort of Thanksgiving weekend. What I might actually do is I might actually put up my Thanksgiving turkey, sort of like that sort of turkey stream for you guys, just so that you have something to watch, over the weekend. So, guys, thank you so much again for your time. Thank you for those that really stuck it out. And I hope. Oh, by the way, I think Diego is starting his stream here soon, or if he hasn't already, he will be. So definitely go check out Diego M's channel. I think he's doing a unboxing, or sort of someone's doing a unboxing tonight. So go check out his channel. Again, thank you so much for those of you that stuck it out and sort of watched me through the whole time. And I will catch you guys with another grill stream. Probably more sort of indoors going forward, just because it's the winter. But I will cook something up for you guys in the next stream that's also going to be equally as delicious. So thank you so much again for your time. And I will catch you guys in the next one. So again, take care. Have a great one. See you.